Yeah, yeah, that's right. That's right.
So
So who knows? We could see him on the podium in London.
for sure, I wouldn't count against it. I think he might have a shot to make it on the podium, man. But he is here now. ForceOne is here. Veloce ForceOne is joining us via call. Are you there, man?
Yeah, I think so.
Hey, man, how's it going?
It's going all right. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on the show.
Absolutely.
So the first thing I want to ask you, you talked about you had a problem with your clutch button, I think.
Oh, that's
on
right.
day 2.
Yeah.
I want to get some clarity on that because what happened?
Yeah. So when you go to these events, there's a lot of switching back and forth between different setups and stuff. So, you have to be very quick with how you set your controller up. And one of the things that I had missed or just didn't notice was that it was set for layout 3. So I did the whole first race at Bathurst, had the drama with Davy's skills, but it was fine because I had manual without clutch on. But then I got into the Audi, started the race, and had a good start actually. I thought I was gonna have a run for third going into turn 1, and the moment I pressed the button to shift to second gear, it just didn't happen. And I pressed it again, and nothing happened. So it turned out that the clutch was mapped to the Y button. So I was pressing all sorts of buttons to try to figure out what was happening. I ended up putting the car in reverse in the process, got damage, and once I had it all figured out, I just chose to finish the race anyway because I didn't want to sit on the side of the track. But the damage was done.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a bit hard to come back from in a race like this when everybody's lapping within a few tenths of each other.
Yeah.
Which your clutch button was mapped to Y?
Yeah. So I was basically driving inverted.
Wow.
Yeah, that's not quite possible.
I don't know how you did that. That's
well done for finishing the race.
Yeah, really. Holy crap. I wouldn't even know how to, like, the first thing I would have guessed would be like, oh, let me press LB and see if it's gotten mapped back to the original. I'm assuming you tried that.
That ended up being the handbrake, so that didn't help.
Oh, I'm sure that was good for you. Yeah.
So then what ended up being A? What was A on your controller? Nothing?
A was look back, so I was just watching the field drive past me as I shifted.
Wow. That's crazy. Well, there's some clarification on that. That's good to know. I don't know how.
Yeah, that's a bit unfortunate, and there's nothing you can do. That I guess that's part of like the fact that it's a game.
Yeah.
Is that like that's the part of the competition is being on point with everything, and unfortunately.
It's no different than like Lewis Hamilton blowing an engine while leading a race or something. It's part of racing, I guess.
Yeah, or just forgetting to turn on his traction control or launch control or something like that at the start of a race or whatever. Yeah, there you go.
And you still came back in the third race and was able to make it through the finals. That's pretty incredible as well.
Sensational recovery, and who knows where you might have finished if you managed to have the correct mapping.
I mean, it's kind of an interesting point because I remember back to the playoffs in Seattle, which is I think 3 months ago now, and I was in a similar situation. I barely made the finals, but there, I just wasn't quick enough. Like I finished 6th, and 7th, and had just enough to squeak in. So I think it says a lot that I was able to not score any points. I only participated in 2 races, and I still made the finals.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible.
Really encouraged about my progression.
And
yeah, we've had our eye on you since then, pretty much. Well, particularly Davey.
Yeah, I have. But no, the other thing was I noticed was that qualification is so important, like in these races, and you managed to not only have this issue in race 2, qualified 12th in race 3, and then fought your way up to finish 4th. Like that to me speaks more volumes than anything else because you had the pace to, come through the field twice and make it through.
Yeah,
like that's incredible. Well, like that. Bravo.
Thanks.
So can we, talk about that incident with Davey skills, and we'll show it on the screen again for the guys that are just joining us. We're on call here for you new viewers that we're on call with ForceOne right now. Finished 4th in Mexico City. So a lot of guys, I know Davey Skills was talking on Twitter, he wanted your side of it. He didn't think it was fair that, only he got to say his own side of it. What was your, take on the incident, and was there anything that you could have done?
I think it's important probably to start off and say that Davey and I are cool now. There's no bad blood there. Obviously,
That's good.
I didn't respond on Twitter because I knew it would go the wrong direction. I think if I had shared my thoughts at the time, but I mean, it was really just a tough incident. But I think it was a product of the style of racing you get in Forza RC, because I obviously made a mistake, and in that scenario, you can't just back out. Like, if that was Tora, I would have backed out all day. But I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't
hindsight's
just back out.
2020. Looking back, if I finish in 5th behind Davy Skills and then have that clutch issue in race 2, it doesn't matter that I finished 4th in race 3. I still don't make the finals. So they kind of put us in this envelope where you have to just take and not give at all, because every single point ends up being crucial.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't like the fact. I personally would have penalized myself, but it's not my call. And I think the stewards looked at it as a racing incident, which I kind of disagree with. But at the end of the day, I guess it's just my job to race, and the stewards can do what they wish.
Yeah. So you
that's an interesting take on that.
Yeah. So you think that you deserved a penalty for that? I mean, it was minute. Like, it was barely anything at all.
Yeah. I mean, the way it broke down was that we went to the corner, like, very close. I hit the wall, so that's my mistake. And then, as a result, Davey sim twitched and got taken out. And I think from a steward's perspective, if you have an incident where 2 drivers make contact and 1 driver loses position, that should be a penalty. Like, I think they're too worked up about determining whether or not things were intentional, and they're not actually analyzing whether or not people gained advantages.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that anything is intentional, honestly, at land events, unless you're the incident with Lage and throwing it up the inside.
That still could have been driver error, though, not intentional. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah, but I mean, you know what I mean. I don't think that anything is ever intentional, really. I mean, I think that everyone in the community, you don't get to that level driving like a retard or an idiot, and you don't get to that level driving, recklessly. So like, or not being a clean racer, like that's not,
At
that's
every
not a
event,
thing.
it seems like the stewards kind of set a precedent at what's allowed and what's not allowed. And as drivers, whether we like it or not, it's our job to basically race within the limits that they give us. And I think that's why you got the racing you got on Sunday. That's why the incident with Davey and I happened. We just have to take advantage of everything they let us, because it's a high stakes scenario and you are racing for money. So
yeah, of course, yeah.
So is there anything that you could have done in that situation at all? I mean, because I know, leading up to that, you had made you made a mistake. I'm assuming you probably missed your braking point or something like that.
The braking boards had disappeared, which is just a standard Forza thing.
But yeah, was there anything you could have done? I mean, was he squeezing you? Was there any, because it's tough to tell from that angle. I mean, and there's like no room on Bathurst to even make an error, even side by side. Is there anything you could have done at all?
I mean, there was just a car length on the inside there, and I think if I was perfect in that scenario, we both would have made it through the corner. But I just turned in a little bit too early. That's what kind of started the whole crashing there. So I think if I just been a bit more patient, it probably would have been fine.
Yeah.
It's such a tough track, though.
Yeah, that really is.
Yeah, Jason and I were hot lapping it earlier, actually, in the V8 supercars. That esport, the V8 esports thing or whatever. He's eligible, I'm not, but because he's from Australia. But that track is so difficult to even get a clean lap on. I mean, jeez.
Yeah.
What was your best clean lap? I'm curious.
I got a 2:05.5, so not great, but
okay.
I think for a LAN event, it was pretty good.
That is pretty good, yeah. I think
that's a solid time, man. Yeah.
Yeah, the top time on the board right now is a 2:05 flat. Venom's got a 2:05.1 on the board, actually. That he did it. I put down a 2:07.1, I think, something like that. So I'm
your old teammate.
I'm a little off, you guys, but
flying that F4H flag. Yeah, I'm a fair bit off that as well. I think my best log time was a 2:08.3.
ForceOne is like, you guys are chumps.
yeah. Right now is that.
You guys are a second and a half to 2.5 seconds off me. Like, get on my level.
That's the difference between moderately competitive tour races and guys that finish 4th in the RC.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of time.
I can imagine. Yeah. the other thing I wanted to get your perspective on was, so you were like right in the thick of things in that last race with, you know, Lage and Box throwing dive bombs. You actually got wrecked as well, and we've got a clip to show the viewers as well of that. You know, what were you thinking through this? Because you had to have been thinking like, these guys are crazy. Like,
I mean, that was hands down the craziest race I've ever been part of, and I think it would have been the craziest race to ever spectate. But unfortunately, it had to be right in the middle of it, and I kind of knew like what to expect going in. And I don't know if how the start was showed on stream, but I just went as far to the right side of the track as I could. I didn't want to be involved with any of that, and I thought I did a pretty good job of getting away from it. But then the incident in the chicane happened, as you guys have been showing, and I got dragged right back into the mayhem. And once I was around Box and Lage, I just couldn't get away from it.
You almost had it clear too. You were doing the over/under. I mean, you were in prime shape. I mean, that was a really smart move on your part. You're like, oh, they're deep. I'm gonna get them on the cutback, and it's like, nope, sorry.
You were nearly there.
I watch it because I know, in hindsight, if I had just left the car length there, I would have cleared them and been perfectly fine. And if I had a good race on the podium, but I didn't expect it to make it back on track. So, yeah, just got bullied.
Yeah, I got you. No, all my roommates just got home and they're all shouting in my house.
So you can't talk to me. Fuck you, nigga.
Oh. Well. Thanks for that.
Yeah, I appreciate that completely. Well, yeah. Anyways, yeah, I apologize for that. But yeah, no, like that's actually pretty tough. Like in terms of, you know, if you had cleared them, you actually might have had a shot to do some damage in terms of points as well, and even catch Mitch as well, because Mitch was stuck in that battle with you, with all those guys.
I mean, had Mitch ended up like 11th or 10th, I think I could have. I had the pace in that car. That was my favorite combination of the whole weekend. I think I could have raced up to around where Noah and Tobin were, but it wasn't meant to be.
Right. Yeah. So that's tough luck though. But you know, where are you starting at in London? Do you have a good starting spot for the semifinals?
Yeah, I'll be starting 9th, so that's 5th in lobby 1.
Okay. Good.
That's a brilliant start. Yeah.
I think the lobby will end up being Box, Zoom, Lightning, Roadrunner, and then myself.